Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's really with Spirit of Matter here. And right now we have the moon, after the new moon is applying to Procyon. Venus has left the 22nd degree. Jupiter hour, this is Saturn, Dave, Jupiter hour, Jupiter on Aldebaran. So let's call the energies of Procyon, the sweetener, the denucleificator, and the energies of Aldebaran, with Jupiter, the being victorious in a way that is both, yes, the joy of the material, but also the spiritual. So Archangel Michael is appropriate. Mint, I like to call mint essential oil, which is again the energies of Archangel Michael. So midheaven, I think, in Leo, and ascendant ruled by Mars, which is topic of discussion. And I want to give you a 22-degree teaching, and this is kind of stuff I gathered from my own life, being a native Mars 22 retrograde in Scorpio in the 9th, whole sign, tropical, and of what I found out that can be perhaps assisting or remediating. So I'm doing this today, and for those of you who saw my commentary section, then yes, today we're commemorating actually a political assassination, a crime journalist, but a crime journalist who also opposed the WHO, and that's Peter de Vries. 3 years. And what's special for me about this is this person had Sun on my 22-degree Mars. And this Mars, for me, first of all, it lighted up my whole chart, and it lighted up the fact that it lighted up my whole chart. And I received a lot, and I forgot that today is July 6th. So I published, and then I wake up, it's like, oh, shit, today is July 6th, yes. So because everybody, I'm an astrologer, and everybody was thinking about Sirius moon, new moon with Aldebaran, and even when water expands upon cooling, I was like, yes, Venus is on the 22nd degree. Tomorrow is July 6th. Okay. But my positive teaching today has to do with what to do when you have the 22nd degree of to kill and to be killed. Yes, by degree theory of Nikola Stoyanovich. I want to add my further. So let's scary first. Scary story first. And so, scary story first. This thing actually works. It does affect not only your natal chart but also your composite. I'm not going to tell the entire scary story right now. But scary story, yes, it affects not only your natal chart but also your composite, and it works. Now that I talked about this, and that this is what this degree means, that you encounter in your life cases of intentional killing, and perhaps your death is such, and we all have expiration date, right? But now that I said this, you understand that you're not going to die your whole life, right? You have 22nd degree. There are times where it's perfected. There are more significations of your death, but most of your life you live. That's the point of living. And so when you have times in your life where that planet, that 22-degree planet, okay, is very perfected for you, okay, it's highlighted, whether by transits, by timing techniques, or where you go to the places, okay. For me, I have Mars 22 in the 9th house, and so you might be even naturally drawn to people who could be remedial for this. When I was at academia, and I didn't know anything. I know maybe a little astrology, but not anywhere near what I know right now. Definitely not degree theory. And at that time, the whole time, Richard Feynman was like, almost like guardian angel. Whenever I would have to reach for like his aggressive intellect or something like that, it was not like I was channeling him, it was like I was thinking about something and I would watch his videos and then I was like, oh, let's tackle this right now. It's kind of my nervous system would adjust. And I just found it lovely. And a lot of breakthroughs would come with that. It's got the joining of these intellects. And that was very helpful for me. Especially when I needed to get my intellect on without necessarily taking amphetamines. Or even with amphetamines, it would focus my energy. Prescribed, not yes, but for some people it's different. Only when I would look at the chart, only recently, because I did Feynman's chart was the first chart I ever did for Spirit of Matter, first chart I ever did, and when I would look at the chart recently, then I saw Ascendant Midheaven on the composite 22 degrees, the degree of to kill and be killed. And so this person, for the time when I was in university, which is 9th house, was accompanying my entire studies. And it was like the 22 degrees were going to that place, because it was not time for this 22 degrees to go to me. It was not my, if it was my time, it was my time. But if it's not my time, then I would have things that are protective. Okay? Then you get for the second time that I left university, and I would need to travel. And this was the time where, when traveling, it was a couple of months after assassination of Peter de Vries, I went into for the article about him. And suddenly I was drawn. And so when I tried to channel, and basically I interacted with the content. I was also trying to refresh my Dutch, and I was homeless at the time. And by the way, they wanted to put me with a serial killer. I didn't know it was a person that the community helped, and they said, there's a room available with that person. And I didn't know much, but I was afraid to live with a man alone. And so he would drive me from the shelter to a place where I was hosted for a day, basically, because that was quite creepy to be in this situation. And so I'll talk about it in another place. But he was the driver, and then when I was at the house, the lady made dinner for him. Then when he left, I said, he's a very nice person. I saw he saved a lot of girls and so on. She said, was that before or after he killed them? So apparently the guy was a serial killer, and maybe that was his job for the community, and he would do like the lifts for the car. Now I think about the car. Oh my God. Okay. And so when you think about, I did run into the 22nd to kill and be killed signification, but was not pointed at me that much. And if I look at for the chart of Peter de Vries, Sun 22 degrees, Scorpio on my Mars. And naturally, after you are in a situation like this, you think I'm up with the worldview. When I came back to Israel, there was religious revolution. Before 7 October, women could not go on a bus in central Israel. Sometimes women would be taken off the bus. It's like, what the Irani fuck is going on before 7 October? So there was a religious war. Again, 9th house. And so for that chart, it kept coming up and coming up. You see, it's not related. But then I did water expands upon cooling. And for that would be the remedy. Then another thing came up, which is my second house, which is ruled by that Mars, which is the house of income. Now it's Rahu in it. Okay? And again, that chart coming up, and I'm like, why is this chart coming up? This is already embarrassing. Of course, it's like talisman. because I always ask for the planets. I ask for protection from assassination, for making awareness and for tending to the topic, and what to do with this degree when it comes up. Rahu in my second house, ruled by this Mars, is also the fact that my income, when I have to make money, is what put this Mars again. So when you have the planet that is 22nd degree, pay attention whether it's other things or charts. And by the way, for Peter himself, if you look at Mr. Geslaver, later episodes, would always have a JFK. JFK. And if you look at how he was assassinated, also was through a car, almost range 0, and so on. And other things that have to do with WHO, in my opinion. But you see that when it was not time for him, he had the JFK. And look what Venus is applying to Procyon. JFK had significant, I think it was Saturn in midheaven, conjuncting Procyon. Okay, so yeah. And so for me, when it was academic, then when I was in academia, that was fine and it would suffice. But then when I had to actually survive in the street, that was already that chart that lights up my whole chart, because here the 22 is not the conjoining or the composite, okay, which Feynman still, because I also wondered why for my last episode of Water Expands Upon Cooling, I have my focus on Feynman's book, and I'm like, why did I do that? And Venus was on the 22nd for the ascendant midheaven. Okay, there's something going on there with the 22nd Gemini for that axis, and like that like, what is that remedy? Is that why I do that? Yes. Yesterday, okay, it is, I am 5th house perfected year. That would be where Venus was. Venus rules my sun, and so on. And Venus is where you are in the garden or in the bathroom, and Moon is like your leisure time, and so on. So that was kind of protective indeed. Kind of like, it's not my time. The energy doesn't go there. So so when you have this 22 degrees, okay, you will see other charts, other people, other significations of people with displacement coming to your life. And it might not be direct, okay? Feynman, I don't think he has something on the 22, but the composite has, okay? And so when that thing is accompanying your life in the times where it's perfected, whether by eclipses, perfection years, timing techniques, transits, and so on, that activate this, pay attention to the people that you're drawn to, or the people that come into your life. Some of them can be almost like a talisman. And this, and in this way, when you're engaging with the energies of the to kill and be killed in those ways, then that can be even protective for you, for when it's not your time, that you won't catch up for those energies. Now, I'm a pre-eclipse child, so why I say it's my time, it's not my time, because pre-eclipse children have eclipses, they have more fated things, okay, around them. This eclipse, for example, triggered my second house, which is ruled by that Mars, and yes, around these eclipses, I was also called to look at other charts that have the composite of the 22 signature, and those are remedial in very unique and weird ways, but the remedy is a remedy, right? And so also when I was traveling to Netherlands, there was Ketu on my ninth house, which is ruled by this 22 Mars. Okay. By the way, there was also Rahu on Algol, and if I look at the composite for the chart, for the phase in my chart, Moon on Algol. There was an eclipse on Algol at the time. It was called to work in Algol, Moon on Algol. I don't understand. This is a part where I'm working with Algol, but I don't understand completely just yet what that means. But for the 22nd degree, definitely, I was like, that's a eureka. I got it. So I'm very happy that I have this, because even if you're not eclipse child, that could be even more remedial for you. You have that degree in your chart, then you need to look what house is it ruling, what's the planet, okay, what house is it ruling, and what what house it's ruling, and what what house it is at, and what sign. This is how you know what things would trigger that, and when it's time for you. Okay, because for me, I'm pre-eclipse child, so and I already initiated the connection with the stars, so I would get these remedies, whether through people or whatnot. But for you might need to tap into that, and this is a good teaching, so you can tap into the 22nd degree, and that can be highly remedial. It can be like a talisman for you, that you draw the energy to those type of interactions, rather than be the source of the to kill and be killed. Okay, granted you're not going to murder somebody, you also don't want to be murdered. Yeah, then, and it's interesting that this appears on today, July 6th, which is I think good reverence, good commemoration for Peter. This is a man who tended all his life to cold cases, which is murder cases, missing people cases, and so yeah, that was Sun 22 degrees, so it was like the sun. Okay, the very person is one of the big trees, so that accompanied all his life, and for me it accompanies most of my life, because this Mars is ruling for pretty much my entire chart. It's not the ruler of my ascendant if you take the Pisces ascendant, but it's ruling my entire chart. So I would constantly need to have, okay, for this being or for this person in my life that does tend to that, and is also the ruler of my income house, which is, I think, another teaching, and is separate teaching, and is scary enough for me. But this episode is more about what you can do for not to be afraid. It's both to know that yes, we have expiration date, but the matter is that you live, okay, but also to know that when it's not your time, or you can turn the energy, and you might naturally be inclined, okay, and that might explain some karmic is not only bad. Karmic is also what the good thing, or fated to is also a good thing in your life that comes and assists in that remediation. Okay, and so that can explain why is this coming up and coming up and coming up and coming up and coming up, because it's like talisman for you. So I know there's not a lot. Most of the teachings on the 22 degrees, like, oh, that's scary, you can get murdered, or you're going to be assassin, and you so and you so. And yeah, that's very probable that it entails somebody, either you or somebody next to you, being murdered. You're granted that you're not the killer, right? But I wanted to add also these remedial teachings. And I think it's beautiful that this remedial teaching coming from me. Mars 22 is in the 9th house. So actually having teachings to do with the 22nd degree is appropriate. Okay, so this is for me to commemorate what the day for the assassination of a person that whose energy was charged in basically life-saving when you think about it for my chart. And you want to know the funny story is that I was the person that told me about this person, but he didn't say the name, was actually a person who could risk my life. He had 22 degree Saturn, which is the malefic out of sect, in my 12th house, hidden enemies, squaring my 22 retrograde Mars. Okay? And so he introduced me to this person that whose energy is remedial to that. And when I say that, it's not that the person intends or the person is, it's just the way charts interact and life circumstances interact. Okay, if I expose things that the cults do or secret societies do that are malefic, okay, like expandable children, then okay, you need to be vouched for. And one of the ways, oh my God, one of the ways in which you can be vouched for is to hold these talismans, is to hold these energies for these people. Because or to interact with this, and you see, you will be drawn to these people. And if you sometimes think, oh, but that's, where is this coming from? What is this to do in my life? Is something I should pursue, something not pursue? Then this is where astrology is so useful. Okay, this is where astrology is so useful. So you get the meaning of what is this person, what is this energy doing in my life, and in this case, could be saving your life. Okay, but I hope that what you take out from this is more how you can remedy. And again, remedy does not mean that we can change the entire face of what your destiny is, or fight against reality, but genuinely remedy. Okay, smooth it out, facilitate work with these energies, and get the teachings that you need. Okay, for Feynman, I needed protection when I was in academia because it was 9th house. For the Vries, well, my income is ruled by this 22 Mars. For his income was ruled by this 22 Sun. I wasn't expecting this. And the same decan of, by the way, the decan of Scorpio is the decan of nostalgia. If you think about cold cases, it's the murder that happened long ago, where you tend to that, something that happened in the past, to hope to get a closure, okay, around this. And for me, what is something that is to do with my income. I would not be expecting this, okay? So, depending on what that 22 planet is for you, if you have this, and depending on how much place does it have in your chart. Okay, my 22 Mars, I discovered, is the entire chart. It's the ruler of the entire chart. Okay, so that's pretty significant. Okay, that's pretty significant. It's something that I'm still processing and growing and understanding, but for you it can be something less significant. And then when it's perfected, when it's time, when it's this, when it's that, then it's going to come up in those ways, and it's something that I haven't seen people doing. Okay, nobody, even I, when I looked at 22nd degree, I was humbled. I was tending to, Al-Qaeda, I was tending to 22nd lunar mansion, to Algol, to Procyon. When it comes to prevention of assassination, Archangel Michael, mint essential oil, was with me the whole time when I was homeless. And I talked to another homeless person that they also had mint essential oil. And they say it's to do with Archangel Michael. Like, I had no idea. I just felt like that was a good it was a good thing. Okay, um, and so um, yeah, and this is something that I was afraid to think like, oh well, if we do talisman of the 22, would it? And I was like, I'm not gonna try to do that. I'm not going to try to do that. But because magically, for example, Algol, mundane signification, not so pretty. Al-Qaid, mundane signification, not so pretty. Magically, if you do a talisman of that, protective. If you not on Algol minima. Not on Algol minima. But and it just by chance happened to be that, yes, 22nd degree, from my hands-on experience, is that you can turn to another energy, turn to another chart, and it would be we don't we don't have I was just like we have an abundance of people who are assassinated. It's terrible, but it's also true. So you could do even astroseek.com a search for to take another show. Now, what do? Well, if you're not like me, that you're like half a medium by chance, then you could do something that I take from Lada Duncheva, also introduced me to the teaching of Nicola Stojanovic of the 22nd degree. And this is, you take the chart of the person, but depending on what is it that you need there, okay? You take the chart of the person. If it's the chart of the person that they have this degree with you, you take the chart of the person and you just keep it in your phone, or you can print it, and you have the chart of the person, okay? Very much like talisman, it's also going to have other effects, okay? You can call, you can tap, you can engage. That's one thing you can do. You can engage with the content to do with that person, because then you're engaging with the energy of that person. If it is the composite, okay, like me and Feynman, then you can carry the composite. Okay, when I was doing water expands upon cooling yesterday, immediately the photo was of Feynman's book, and I didn't even understand why. I don't even remember what I tended to yesterday. Oh, targeted individuals, yes. So ascended 22. Ascendant. Targeted individual, ascended 22. Oh yeah, because it was tending to my first live tending to cold case. Yeah. Which immediately I saw was targeted individual. So that was appropriate. And this is also a way to remedy, okay, to use the energy form of remediation, especially when you don't have, like, I don't know, crime organization to vouch for you, or where you don't want to engage with criminal activity because there's always a price to pay and people get hurt, and so on, and you want to pave a path forward for people to be able to live without having to do crime, then that can be a way of remediation of the 22nd degree. Okay, so you can engage with the energy of the person, that person, and or you can maybe do it with events, but I haven't tried. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the way to go about it. If you also are like a medium or channel, then they would come naturally. they come naturally. Okay, and you'd be surprised how people willing to assist, and yes, it's almost like a spirit guide. Okay, so it's just that's the effect of it, and that's the meaning of it, and this is very real. To my even for me, it's a bit, off the charts because but I come to you here on the day of what was assassination of person who went against the WHO, who picked his battle so big that he didn't go for the Supreme Court because he knew the structure. He went for turn into the structure that wants to enslave humanity, like JFK tended to before his assassination, and got as far as he could. Okay, this doesn't mean the person was a saint in his life, and it doesn't mean anything of that sort. Okay, people are people. Even our gods were people. So, okay, you just want to remember that. It's not from that point of view. But on this day of the assassination, to have received this teaching on the 22nd degree that I can share with you and can also be paving path to perhaps breakthrough of more and more people that need to tend, whether it's to cold cases, to assassination prevention, murder prevention, especially when we are dealing with times where World War and so on, and whistleblowers and so on, so that it's more accessible and simple for you. Astrosig.com, also by a person named Peter, by the way. And this is a program, which is a free program. You can search for every chart and you can use that. So if you have to magically tend to things, if you don't have like a big crime organization vouching for you, or a Supreme Court judge that snuffs children, okay, that you have to cooperate with if you want to bring people to justice, then that can be another route that you can turn to. And yes, it is protective. No, it's not going to change, Peter held JFK's symbols all the time, and he was assassinated eventually, but there was no need for him to be assassinated before that. And then again, it's remedial. It's not to change the course of your destiny, but it's to accompany you on the course of your life energetically. And if you need to get vouched for, you get vouched for. It's not about not to take from you something that could save your life, and that allows for you to do more of what you came here to do, which to me is very scary saying that. Because I've always had trauma with jobs, and and I didn't like corruption, and I was like, okay, well now it's perfected to me to tend to this, and it's fucking scary. So yeah, so yes, I hope this is meeting you. And good, I'm very exhausted. Yesterday was the serious new moon in the middle of the night, and I was like, to make or not to make a talisman, because Jupiter was with Aldebaran, and so many things arrived, and so many cold cases, and all the things. And when are you going to do this, and so on, and yes, and it's a journey. So thank you very much for watching. And this is my way of commemorating, which is, yes, sometimes it's also about celebrating the life and the given remediation that assists us to live the life, and not just the grieving that does exist, and it does, but also to remember life. So